Hello there, and welcome to the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast. I'm so glad you're joining me here today. I hope this finds you doing so well. As I'm recording this, it is the middle of summer, so I know for many of you that means you are extremely busy, so I do not take for granted the fact that you are joining me here today, and I'm excited to talk to you about memberships and continue our content marketing series. But before I do that, just in case we are new friends, then I'll briefly tell you about myself and then we'll get into those things. All right. So as I said, my name is Denise Alvarez, and through my business, Storm Lily Marketing, I get to help horse business owners like you to get clarity in your marketing and your messaging. And I do that through one-on-one coaching, as well as website design and content, email marketing strategy, and Social Stride, my monthly coaching program. I do each of these things, and I have this podcast here because I want to help you do more of what you really enjoy, the things that you love to do with horses, and the reason you created and started your horse business in the first place, right? I know that marketing is not everybody's favorite thing in the world, but perhaps that you're here because you do enjoy it and you want to learn more. So here on the podcast especially, my goal is to give you some step-by-step strategies and basic how-tos to help you not only see what's possible for your horse business, but to help to guide you through that process to make it happen. So as I said, right now on the podcast, we are actually in the middle of a series on content marketing, which very basically speaking is creating content, right? Blog posts, podcasts, those are things we've talked about so far anyways. Creating content to market your business. Now, in the past couple of weeks, we have talked about blogs. So episode 84, we talked about should you have a blog and how to know. Episode 85 was about podcasting. And if you're thinking of starting a podcast, the things that you need to know. So those episodes you can listen to if you've not yet listened, of course, on your favorite podcast player, or you can just head to stormlily.com/84 or stormlily.com/85. And then, of course, in the show notes for today, which is episode 86, I will also have the links to those. Now, one more thing you will find in the show notes that I would encourage you to get that goes along with today's episode is a free beginner's guide to online memberships for horse businesses. I've created that to help you answer some of those common questions and to kind of have an outline, essentially, for how you can get started with your membership. So today we are talking about if memberships are right for you. And if you decide that it is, then I definitely want you to go get this guide. You can get it at stormlily.com/memberships, plural. It's totally free. Of course, just put in your email and I will shoot it to you automatically. And it will help answer some of those common questions that you may have, tell you some of the great tools that I recommend, and again, give you a basic outline to help you get started. So again, that's stormlily.com/memberships. So why memberships, right? Why are we diving into that this week as we talk about content marketing? Well, frankly, unless you've been hiding under a rock, you have likely seen the explosion in online program offerings just the past few years. They're definitely not brand new, of course, but at the same time, in the past few years, we have definitely seen them grow. Especially if you're on Facebook, I am sure you're seeing ads from a variety of people, not just horse businesses, that have an online program offering, right? Now, of course, in terms of revenue, memberships can be a great thing. Subscriptions can be a great thing, which is often what we first see is the idea of a subscription, right? So if you look at entertainment even, you see things such as Hulu, Paramount Plus, Netflix, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus. That's just a few, right? And those are set up as a monthly subscription model. So we're becoming more and more familiar with those. Now, if you look at the tech space, you have what is called software as a service, which essentially means, again, you're paying for it on a monthly, typically, or sometimes annual basis as a service, and you get access to the software. So, for example, Canva, my favorite design platform you've heard me talk about, that's a software as a service. Yes, they have a free option, but they also have a subscription model where you pay for access. The same as for your email marketing platforms like MailerLite and MailChimp, the same thing. Now, going back ever since the early days of Netflix, if you remember that when that first started, it was a monthly membership, monthly subscription, not membership. We'll talk about the difference actually. It was a monthly subscription for access to DVDs at the time, right? So the idea of paying for access is a subscription model. And the horse industry is absolutely no difference. And platforms such as Patreon have made it even easier and more accessible for almost anyone to create a subscription where people pay a monthly fee in order to have access to your content. Now, again, for the most part, those are subscriptions and they're very similar to memberships, but there is a difference that we're going to talk about, and the reason I want to focus in on memberships as a model for you. So essentially, with both, you're paying for access. But that's it. When it comes to subscription, typically you just get access to content. For example, just videos, right? Or just a streaming service, or just the program. Memberships, however, go a little bit deeper. They're a little more robust and often personal. They may give your members one-on-one access to you, or many to one, but exclusive, right? Exclusive access to you and your business. Oftentimes, a membership will have a community aspect, so it allows members to build connections with one another as well. And then there may be other member-only benefits such as pricing, discounts. Perhaps if you host events or clinics, then there would be a special member-only opportunity there. And oftentimes with memberships, there's going to be a hub or a platform, right, where people can sign in to access those things. Now, in the horse world, one of the well-known examples that I often hear from clients when I'm asking them about marketing that inspires them is Clinton Anderson's No Worries Club. Now, I went and looked. He's been doing the No Worries Club since 2007. And originally, right, the point was he had a special website, a special login, exclusive DVDs, and a quarterly publication. That's how he described it on his own website for the original model of the No Worries Club. Now, of course, there's an app and they get discounts on his products and things like that as well, right? So he's built it up as a membership model. And there are many examples now, right? There are many examples. If you're on Facebook or if you read any equine publication, you have likely seen this idea and seen the growth in memberships. So why? Why has there been so much growth? Well, obviously, the past couple of years, the pandemic has really pushed more and more people online, especially businesses, right? So with the pandemic, many people were maybe considering something as an online membership program. And then when they could not travel and they could not go and provide the education or the training that they were providing, then the pandemic really became a catalyst for growth for memberships, because for some businesses, it became one of the only ways that they could continue to bring in income for their business. They really had to shift their models. So we really started to see the past few years a lot more online programs, a lot more memberships created. Now, a lot of this is, and we'll talk about this, it's a response for demand as well, right? So perhaps as a business owner, you've seen the opportunity for reach and scalability and the potential for growing a membership. It removes geographic limitations. We'll talk about the benefits actually in just a few minutes, but you've seen these benefits, right? But for some people, perhaps they weren't looking for that opportunity, but it's been a response to what people were asking for in their business. So, for example, we know that many horse trainers and clinicians, they're traveling around quite a bit, and there's only so much that they can do. And so perhaps there's more demand for what you offer than there is time in your calendar. So a membership model allows you to meet that demand with the same amount of time, right? It allows you to meet those people and, like I said, remove those geographic limitations. And to be honest with you, that's how I created my monthly coaching program, which is essentially a membership, Social Stride. So originally I had a 5-day free 5-day marketing challenge. And as we were going through that challenge, I continued to hear from people that were participating the difficulties they were having with social media and specifically how to create content that would help them connect to the right people. They had a lot of questions about content and a lot of questions about social media. And so I created Social Stride to help meet that need. Because these people, these business owners, were not saying, hey, I want to hire somebody to do this for me. They were saying, I want to learn how to do this. I believe in it. I want to do it. And so I created Social Stride in order to teach them the how, right? And give them the tools that they need. So every month, my Social Stride members get templates that they can use in their social media. Essentially, it's kind of like Mad Libs for social media. They get group coaching with myself, but they do get one-on-one access because I'm available inside of our private community to answer their questions as well. And Social Stride was not my original intent, but I created it to meet a need and it's been an amazing opportunity to build those connections and to connect people with each other and to equip equestrian business owners with the tools that they need to market their business well. Now, I'm telling you about Social Stride, but it's actually not even open for enrollment right now. But if that sounds like something that would be a fit for you, you can definitely get on the first to know list at stormlily.com/Social Stride. I'd invite you to do that. If it sounds like a good fit, I would love to have you in there. But my point here was that I created Social Stride in response to demand. And so for some of you, that may be the case. You maybe had this idea because people have been asking you for more and you weren't really sure how to provide it, and a membership seemed like a good fit. Or perhaps you've been watching others in your circle, right, or in your industry or in your discipline create memberships and you've wondered if it was a fit for you. So just as we talked about with blogs and podcasting, the answer to memberships is not black and white. The answer to should you have a membership, should you have a blog, should you have a podcast, it's not just yes or no, right? There are some things that you need to consider. And so what we're going to do today is look at some pros and cons of memberships to help you to make your choice. Now, again, as I said, if you're saying, Denise, I know memberships are for me, then I would encourage you to go get my free guide to get you started. So that's over at stormlily.com/memberships. Again, I'll have that link in the show notes for you at stormlily.com/86 to make it super easy. But first, I want us to dive into just the pros and cons of memberships. All right, so the first pro that I've come up with for you is recurring revenue. Now, of course, as a business owner, we like the idea and need to make additional income in our businesses, right? We want to be profitable. Now, memberships are not exactly passive income, whereas people think of passive as make money while you sleep, right? Because, of course, having a membership is going to require some work. But the idea of recurring revenue is very helpful because you get to have one promotion, and depending on how you have it set up, right? But you get to have a time where you enroll people, and then as long as you are serving them well and it meets their needs, they stay on as members and you have monthly recurring revenue, which can be very good for your business model. So certainly a pro for membership is that recurring revenue. Now, the other thing is it's not time for dollars. So that's our second one. It is scalable. Memberships are scalable. So here's the thing. Yes, you're putting time in. And while there is a cap to the number of clients or customers that you can cater to as a person or even as just one business, you can only host so many clinics, right? You can only give so many lessons in a week. There's only so many one-on-one calls that you can do. But with a membership model, the reason it's scalable is there's not a cap to the number of members that you have. So think of it this way. The investment of time that you have to give to create content for your members is the same whether you have 10 members or 100 members or even 1,000 members. That time that you're going to spend creating that video training is the same. So that is where the idea of scalability comes in and is definitely a pro when it comes to membership models. Now, the third pro is the larger reach. So we're not just talking about scalability here, but just flat out numbers, right? The beauty of online membership is that it removes time as a constraint. It removes borders as a constraint. It opens up the opportunity for you to connect with and serve people, frankly, worldwide, right? And so, regardless of what your product or your service is, I know that you are helping people because we've talked about on the podcast how people have a problem and your business solves it. So, you're helping people, whatever it is your product or service is. And most likely, you're helping horses as well, right? Because you're in the equine industry. So, a larger reach is a benefit because it gives you a larger impact. It's helping more horses and helping more people. And that is absolutely a pro when it comes to your membership. Okay, the fourth pro that I have for you before we chat about some cons is residual impact. Now, what do I mean by that? When people join your membership, they're naturally going to be more inclined to purchase your other products and services that are related to the membership. Again, I'll give you Social Stride as an example. Social Stride has been a wonderful way for me to build relationships with members. And then through that, I have had members sign up for one-on-one coaching with me. I've had members hire me to do their website, to write their website copy, to plan their own launch for their membership program. And that's been a result of building those relationships and serving them well inside of Social Stride. Now, I also will give you another example of Hayes Cofell Performance Horses. You have heard me talk about them on the podcast before because they are one of my star clients, and they have a membership called Momentum. It's for reiners and reiner wannabes. And through that, they have built relationship with members that ended up also buying tack from their online tack shop and ordering saddles through them as they have an affiliate with a custom saddle maker, attending their clinics. And so again, having a membership allows you to have even more connections, and it will have a residual impact on the rest of your business. Because if you think about it, your members, they know, like, and trust you when they join, right? They've trusted you enough to join your membership. And then as you serve them, as they learn from you, as they have results from what you're teaching them, then that know, like, and trust factor gets even larger and stronger. And then, of course, they're going to want to support you even more and want to buy more of what you have because they know it's going to work. Okay, so those are 4 really great pros. What about cons? So I'm calling this cons, but in quotes, it is considerations, right? These aren't necessarily negative things about memberships, but there's some things for you to consider as you're making your choice, okay? So the first consideration is the investment of time. Because yes, it will take time away from what you're currently doing to create content, or it may take additional time, when you continue to do what you're doing, but then you have to stop and teach it in a different way or teach it to different people. It's going to look a little bit different, right? So whether you decide to do a monthly video, a weekly, a quarterly publication, a regular live training, whatever it is you decide to do for your membership model, educational content is going to be a part of that, which will take time. Now, for some membership programs, the bulk of the training is recorded up front versus ongoing, and then they provide ongoing support and education in different ways. So, for example, Matt Mills has an online membership, and you can look it up. I don't have the link right off the top of my head, but you can Google him and you'll find it easily. He has an online subscription program. I think he calls his a subscription actually, because it's a library of videos. So you automatically get access to that when you join. So the time and the tech investment, it's more upfront. In that case, he had a huge time investment in the beginning, but then once it's created, not as much, right? Now, of course, if you're just getting started and you're like, Denise, I'm going to be really scrappy. It's not going to be 1,000% polished from the get-go. And I get that. You can totally record as you go. Totally fine. And even honestly, if you're using professional, you might record in batches. But here's my caution to you. Don't jump into the idea of content creation without at least having an idea of what you're going to do in terms of your content, which I'll walk through that with you in that free membership guide. So when you go grab that, we'll talk about that inside of the guide. But the point here is it's going to take time, and I want you to plan accordingly. Okay? All right. The next consideration is the marketing. Now, I don't consider marketing a con, of course, but I know that some of you are like, oh man, one more thing I have to market. Because you are going to need to talk about this thing that you have created. If you are not sharing about it, how are people going to know that it's there? It's not going to be if you build it, they will come type scenario. You need to actually put a little bit of muscle, some marketing muscle behind your membership. And because you're creating something that you know is solving a problem, just remember, marketing is really talking to the right people and sharing that there is something that's a solution for the problem that they're having, and you have it, right? So I want you to be able to communicate the value, what they're going to get, and especially how it's going to help them. Okay, the third consideration, this is our last one, friends, is administrative. So what do I mean by that? When you have a membership, you're going to automatically create the need to have someone answering some questions. Now, granted, starting out, can it be you? Absolutely. I just want you to plan accordingly, right? Because people are going to email you and say, hey, sorry, my card didn't go through. Here's the information. Or asking about, frankly, sometimes they are going to ask you how to cancel, or can they pause, or how do I find this, or did you already answer this question, or there are different questions that are going to come in. It's natural. And so that's a consideration I want you to have, because for some of you, you've been saying, Denise, I want to be on the computer as little as possible, or even, Denise, I never get on the computer. I only use my phone, which is fine, whatever the case may be. Just plan to be available, plan to have, perhaps you set up office hours. That could be one idea. You're like, hey, members, you know that I'm typically outside doing XYZ in the barn, trail rides, whatever it is that you do, right? You know that this is where I usually am, but I'm here for you. So here are my office hours where you can expect to email me and get a response. Again, just a consideration, not necessarily a con, but something I want you to think about. Okay, so I've given you 4 pros, 3 considerations. I hope that you have a good idea of memberships and if it's a right fit for you. If you've been considering it, I hope this gives you some clarity. And again, if you're still considering it and you're saying, Denise, I'm just not sure, go ahead and get that free guide. It's a beginner's guide to online memberships. And that's what it's there for, to guide you through the process, to give you some things to think about. So head over to stormlily.com/memberships to get your free guide. All right. If you have other questions about memberships, please just let me know. I'd be happy to chat with you. I love strategizing content. I love launching memberships and online programs. So I'd be happy to visit with you about that. Again, you can get a highlight of today's episode at stormlily.com/86. And if you're not following the podcast, I do invite you to do that so that you always get notified when a new episode is available. And friend, if this episode and if these episodes on the podcast have been helpful to you, I would love to hear about that. And if you would leave a review, I'd be so grateful. And it would help so many others to learn along with you as well. All right, I'm so grateful that you are here, and I thank you for joining me. I hope this content marketing series has been helpful. Continue on with me because we will continue chatting about content marketing over the next couple of weeks. All right, have an awesome day.